Hello dear friends, you are watching the channel Universe and Nature. Today we'll explore 25 interesting facts about Earth together. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're here for the first time. Grab something tasty and let's go. In a cyclone, atmospheric pressure can drop quite significantly, by several dozen millimeters of mercury, and in a strong typhoon, even by 100 or more. Additionally, atmospheric pressure changes with altitude, and in mountainous areas, it is noticeably lower than at sea level. For example, on Everest, the highest mountain in the world, atmospheric pressure is 250 millimeters of mercury. This is very low. Under such low pressure, water boils at a temperature of only 70 degrees Celsius. On most of the planet's surface, the top layer is soil. It is believed that soil appeared on our planet not too long ago, only about 400 million years ago. The first organisms that settled on land about 600 million years ago were lichens, capable of growing even on bare rocks. Only later did ordinary plants colonize the land, the remains of which formed the soil. New land that appears on our planet usually consists of solid rock, like granite, formed from solidified magma. However, due to erosion caused by water and wind, the rock breaks down and forms sedimentary rocks, such as sand and clay. More than 75% of the land surface is covered by sedimentary rocks, while solid rocks are quite difficult to find. The layer closest to the surface, extending several dozen meters up and down, is the most populated by living organisms. However, there are many organisms that have adapted to life at great heights and significant depths. Research has shown that life in the form of microorganisms exists at depths of more than 2.5 kilometers underground and at heights of over 40 kilometers in the stratosphere. Life on Earth has been found in seemingly the most unsuitable conditions. It has been discovered at great depths in the ocean, near hot geysers, with water temperatures above 120 degrees, as well as in subglacial lakes in Antarctica, hidden under hundreds of meters of ice. Some terrestrial organisms, as it turns out, are capable of surviving even in open space, which gives scientists hope of finding life on other planets in the solar system, as the conditions there quite resemble the extreme conditions on Earth. Currently, the population of the Earth exceeds 7 billion people, with more than half of the population living in an area that comprises only 3% of the surface. Does this mean that there is still enough space on Earth for population growth? No, as the existing population consumes too many natural resources, not only non-renewable, but even renewable ones. This means that future generations will soon face a shortage of these resources. The average value of gravitational acceleration at the Earth's surface is 9.81 meters per second quarters. However, as scientists have discovered, it varies slightly in different places on our planet. Firstly, it is lower near the equator due to the influence of centrifugal force than near the poles, but the distribution of mass within the planet also affects its value. As a result of research, it was found that the place with the lowest gravitational acceleration is located in Peru, while the highest value is found in the Arctic Ocean. The Earth is a sphere, or not? If you approach the answer to this question very strictly, the Earth is not quite a sphere. Scientists even came up with a special name for the shape of the Earth, geoid. But in reality, the shape of the Earth differs very little from a sphere. The deviation is no more than 30 kilometers, or several tenths of a percent. In ancient times, the Earth seemed boundless to people. But in fact, the Earth is not that big. The length of the Earth's equator is only 40,000 kilometers. You can fly such a distance by plane in 46 hours. Magellan's expedition made the first circumnavigation in just under 3 years. But even on foot, as enthusiasts have proven, one can make a round-the-world trip in about 4 years. Upon returning to Europe, participants in Magellan's first circumnavigation discovered that the date on their calendar differed by 1 day from that named by the local inhabitants. Later, they realized that they had always been sailing westward, and each sunset occurred a little later. As a result, by circumnavigating the Earth, they were short a whole day. Subsequently, in order to avoid confusion on Earth, the International Date Line was established. It runs from the North Pole to the South Pole through the Pacific Ocean between Chukotka and Alaska. Anyone who crosses this line must change the date on their calendar. As scientists began to observe animals, they were amazed. It turned out that whales travel a distance of 11,000 kilometers in a year, sea turtles 20,000 kilometers, butterflies fly 30,000 kilometers, dragonflies 36,000 kilometers, and some species of birds, such as Arctic terns, which migrate annually from the Netherlands to Antarctica and back, cover more than 90,000 kilometers. The Earth is an unsafe place. In the past, our planet has experienced many large-scale catastrophes, and some disasters occurred quite recently and could happen in the near future. For example, 74,000 years ago, the Toba volcano erupted in Indonesia, causing temperatures on the planet to drop by several degrees, and 90% of people died. And just 13,000 years ago, an asteroid fell to Earth, possibly leading to the extinction of many large Ice Age animals, such as mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. Every year, around 500,000 earthquakes occur on Earth. Most of them are weak and are only registered by seismographs. Only about 1,000 of them are strong enough to cause noticeable damage. However, sometimes extremely destructive earthquakes occur, leading to the death of hundreds of thousands of people. The most recent example of this was the earthquake in 2004 in the Indian Ocean, which triggered a powerful tsunami. So living in seismic zones and on the coastline is unsafe. On our planet, there are about 1,500 land volcanoes that have erupted in the last 10,000 years. There are also underwater volcanoes, the number of which was unknown, but presumably there are about 3 times more of them. Most of the known volcanoes are located along the edges of the Pacific Plate, and if we consider by country, the United States has the most volcanoes, with Russia in second place. Every year, several dozen volcanoes erupt. Approximately 10% of the Earth's surface is covered by glaciers. Their volume is 24 million cubic kilometers, which is 130 times more than the water reserves in all freshwater lakes. The largest ice reserves are found in Antarctica, which is almost entirely covered by ice up to 4 kilometers thick. Greenland is in second place. We are used to thinking of ice as solid, but in reality, even solid glaciers slowly flow downward under the influence of gravity. The typical movement speed of a glacier is about 1 meter per week, and sometimes even more. From time to time, large chunks break off from glaciers flowing into the ocean, becoming icebergs. Some icebergs can be of gigantic sizes. For example, in 2000, a piece measuring 295 kilometers in length, 37 kilometers in width, and an area of about 11,000 square kilometers broke off from a glacier in Antarctica. It took a full 10 years for it to melt away. Under the influence of the moon's gravity, tides and ebbs occur on Earth. They happen periodically with an interval of 12 hours and 25 minutes in oceans and even some large lakes. Usually, the water level changes little due to tides and ebbs, less than a meter in either direction. However, in some places, due to the particular relief of the seabed, the fluctuations in water level exceed 10 meters. The highest tides, reaching up to 18 meters, are observed in the Bay of Fundy in Canada. Tides and ebbs gradually reduce the kinetic energy of Earth's rotation, but it still remains an enormous amount. If we were to start converting it into electrical energy, at the current level of consumption, it would be sufficient for 20 billion years. However, in some countries, tidal energy power plants are already being constructed. One such power plant exists in China. Additionally, humanity is also trying to utilize the thermal energy from the Earth's depths through geothermal power plants. This energy is also quite significant. According to calculations, the Earth releases heat annually that is 17 times greater than the total output of global energy production. There are many hot springs and even hot lakes on Earth which discharge water heated by the Earth's internal heat. Often, such water contains a multitude of dissolved mineral substances. According to one popular theory, life originated billions of years ago, precisely in such hot springs. The totality of all living organisms on Earth is called the biosphere. Over billions of years of evolution, living organisms have formed a complex and balanced system in which their successful existence depends on each other. Unfortunately, humans, especially with the development of technology, are increasingly violating its functioning, poorly understanding the consequences of their interference. Can man, for example, reproduce the Earth's biosphere in a small volume, for instance, by creating some kind of base on another planet or inside a space station? Partially, the answer to this question was provided by an experiment called Biosphere 2, which was conducted in the USA. A sealed structure was built under a transparent glass dome. Inside, they planted plants, created a forest, and made a piece of ocean, trying to establish a balanced ecosystem that could provide oxygen and food for itself and 8 people. Problems arose. Its participants suffered from a lack of oxygen, starved, and ultimately were forced to interrupt the experiment. Reproducing the Earth's biosphere is quite challenging, so we must preserve what we have. The only place beyond Earth where people live permanently is the International Space Station. It was built in 1998 primarily through the efforts of the USA and Russia. Its construction cost $150 billion. The ISS orbits the Earth at an altitude of just over 380 kilometers. The lowest point in the ocean is the Mariana Trench. Its depth is 10,994 meters, or approximately 11 kilometers. People first descended there in a bathyscaphe in 1960.